Year 37 after Christ's birth, Rome breathes incense and heat. Marble sweats. Bronze doors open like a jaw. The boy of Capri has become Emperor Gaius Caesar, called Caligula. He steps onto the Palatine like a thunderhead breaking over flat water. The Senate expects clemency. The crowd expects shows. The gods expect a ritual. He brings a new liturgy, himself. He understands the grammar of power, not decrees first, but sightlines. A wide shot, porticos, flutes, the purple hem dragging on stone. Close up, a laurel crown hammered thin, a lion skin cinched at the shoulder. One day, Hercules, another, Apollo with the Cythera, then Mercury with winged sandals. Once scandalously Venus, silk clinging, pearls cold on skin. The message is precise. The princeps is a mask that changes. The divinity beneath is fixed. Suetonius will later write it. Dio will snarl it. Rome. Kneeling was the point. The Persian bow, proskynesis, arrives like a foreign pest. No Roman citizen bends the neck to flesh. Only to law, only to the geometry of the step in the Forum, Caligula breaks that line. Senators who commanded legions are called to the marble, faces to the dust, hands to his feet. Hesitation is treason measured in heartbeats. The praetorians make the count. The ritual is simple. The humiliation is the instrument. He moves from men to gods. Statues come by convoy from sanctuaries older than the city. Delos Olympia roads. Masters in bronze and Parian marble heads roll by chisel. New heads rise. His profile replaces Zeus, Apollo, heroes with broken noses and immortal torsos. Rome becomes a gallery of one face. You look up for Jupiter and find Gaius instead. The sky feels closer and smaller. There is a theology behind the blasphemy. The emperor cult is not new. Asia has burned incense to living rulers since Alexander. Augustus permitted it at the edge of the world and only to genius, never to himself in Rome. Caligula erases the margin. The altar comes inside the pomerium. Sacrifice smokes under the same tiles where laws are drafted. Piety and policy share the same tablecloth. Blood stains both. He toys with augury. Storms that once meant Jove's displeasure now authenticate him. A clap of thunder during an audience becomes reply, not rebuke. Brother, he whispers skyward as sources will claim. He laughs, and the room laughs 2 beats too late. The fear smells of oil lamps and wet wool. This is not simple madness. It is administration by theater. A daily test of obedience disguised as pageant. The Republic had taught men to worship process. He teaches them to worship presence. The old pact. Citizens bow to law. Law bows to gods. Reverses. Law bows to the man. The gods wear his head. Thus the coronation without crowns. The apotheosis without death. Marble and thunder agree. Rome will kneel or Rome will break. And a state that kneels forgets how to stand. Year 38. The Palatine smells of myrrh and damp stone. Curtains breathe. Silk whispers. Law does not. He sits where kings do not sit in Rome. Alive and worshipped. At his side, not a wife of senate-making stock, but his sister, Drusilla. Hands brush. Eyes hold. The hall pretends to talk about taxes. The sources speak plainly and with poison. Suetonius writes of habitual incest with all 3 sisters. Agrippina the Younger, Drusilla, Julia Livilla Dio repeats. Colder, naming banquets, public kisses, the place of honor taken as if by a spouse. The record is not courtroom proof. It is Roman proof. Rumor kerneled in ritual, witnessed by men who owed him fear. But the ritual matters more than the rumor. He stages kinship as kingship. Wide shot, a dinner couch, silver cups, the flash of pearls at her throat. Close up, he addresses the room, but turns his body to Drusilla, as husbands do. He calls her consors, companion, as if the gods had arranged it. The shock is calculated. Rome reveres lineage. He rewires it. If he is a god on earth, then the rules of mortals are misfiled. He draws precedent like a dagger. The pharaohs married sisters to keep the bloodline unbroken. On Olympus, Zeus and Hera share both parentage, and bed-Greek statues nod in every portico. The message travels without words. He is not copying lust, he is copying theology. The Julio-Claudian house becomes a domestic cult. Sisters are not pawns. They are living emblems, vessels of dynasty and omen. Drusilla becomes the axis. She has moved to the first couch. She receives the looks meant for a lawful bride. When he leaves Rome for the Campanian coast, she goes. When he convenes senators, she sits within the compass of power. The old law, the geometry of the step, the rank by birth and office, groans, but does not break. Men bow to the scene, then bow again to keep their lives. Then the flame gutters. Mid-year, Drusilla dies. Fever, say some. A dark childbirth, whisper others. The emperor's face turns to salt. He commands a iosticium. The city's work stopped cold. Baths closed. Laughter forbidden. Anyone who breaks the hush risks execution. The mourning is not private. It is policy. Rome carries his grief like a yoke. The honors come like thunder. She is decreed Diva Drusilla Panthea, all goddess. Among the first Roman women lifted to the rank of the divine altars rise. Priests learn a new name. Coins will remember a profile crowned with stars. The gesture is piety and weapon at once. If the sister is a goddess, who contradicts the brother? The cost hides in the arithmetic of households. Husbands learn they cannot protect wives from the imperial gaze. Fathers learn daughters can become offerings to policy. Sisters learn that affection is a state resource. What seems intimate is administrative. The bed of silk becomes a courtroom without judges. He taught Rome a simple theorem: blood is law if power says so. The city kept breathing. Silk kept whispering. Law kept its iron. And under the whisper ran the scrape of chains. Year 39. Night sweats on the Palatine. Oil lamps hiss. Bread is torn with fingers. Falernian clings to silver rims. Musicians pluck strings. Praetorians stand like bronze spears. An invitation to dine is not kindness. It is a writ of presence. You come in linen and perfume. You leave with less than you brought. Wide shot. 3 couches, cushions, peacock and dormice. A bowl of olives slicked with garum. Close up, the emperor rises. He does not toast, he circles. Eyes on the wives first, then the husbands, then back to the wives. The room remembers what Suetonius will record, and Dio will repeat. The princeps hunts at table A, hand lifts, and a guard parts the guests like a blade. A woman vanishes behind purple wool. The husband keeps his seat. He drinks when told. He stares at the mosaic and waits for the room to breathe again. Minutes later, Caligula returns, smiling the way men smile after a small war. He comments, as the sources say, with a surgeon's calm, praise, critique, anecdote. The cruelty is clinical because the purpose is administrative. Honor in Rome lives in the home. He sacks the home like a city. He turns marriage law into spectacle. Fidelity dissolves in front of the ledger. Philo, ambassador and witness to the emperor's weather, describes the drift of caprice into policy. Here, caprice is the policy. Between courses, he asks for accounts, arrears, defendants' estates already chalked for confiscation. A nod replaces indictment. Balance the books, he says softly, and a cohort captain understands. Steel moves behind the tapestry. A family ends while the liar keeps time. There is theater in the seasoning. He orders tax registers read aloud as if they were verses. He chuckles at the sums. He bids the cupbearer fill the guilty man's bowl until the wine climbs like a tide. When the cup empties, the property is his. Bread, wine, and seizure. Hospitality as seizure. Mercy as auction. The guests learn their cues. Laugh when the emperor laughs. 2 heartbeats late. Praise the vintage, never the price. Speak of harvests, never of law. The wrong word can cost a villa. The right silence can buy a lineage 1 more night. Rome's elite, trained on mos maiorum and the geometry of rank, recalculates. The new equation is simple. Presence outweighs virtue. Obedience counts as truth. The smell fixes the memory. Resin, hot wax, citrus on clean hands, and beneath it, the iron tang of fear. A senator returns home with a face like plaster and a house suddenly smaller. His wife bathes until the water cools. His steward waits for messengers at dawn. He will learn that the titles on his walls, patrician, consul, augur, are cloth, and cloth tears. The record will argue embroidery. It does not matter to the men who dined. They learned that law can be served on a platter and eaten cold. They learned that a nod can erase a name. The banquet was not pleasure. It was census, court, and war drill in disguise. He calls for dessert. Honey cakes arrive, and with them a warrant no one reads aloud. The emperor lifts his cup. "To Rome," he says. The room replies in unison, and each man tastes ash under the sugar. A state that lets its table become a tribunal has already sold its honor for a meal. Year 39 turns to 40. The treasury wheezes. Games, donatives, bridges of boats. The silver bleeds. Ledgers open like wounds. The cure is not reform, it is invention. He invents a market. Wide shot, the Palatine at dusk, torches guttering, a perfume of myrrh masking sweat. Close up, a doorway hung with purple, the sign of office turned into lure. Inside, couches, lamps with dolphin mouths, a table for accounts, a bowl for coins. Suetonius will write it without shame. A brothel in the palace, staffed not with purchased girls from Syria, but with Roman matrons and youths of free birth. Names are not posted. Lineage is purple for sale. He sets the price himself. Sesterti counted in heaps, then raked with a bronze hand into chests. A crier moves through the forum like a recruiter, inviting men to the emperor's new revenue. Credit is extended. Interest bites. Dio will speak of taxes on lawsuits, marriages, prostitution. Philo will mutter of greed dressed as policy. Here the policy has a door and a doorman. Husbands receive invitations that are orders. Fathers learn to be ushers. A senator who once assigned provinces now escorts his daughter past a curtain. The praetorian at the threshold does not blink. Rome's hierarchy is reversed without a word. Patrician becomes property. Property becomes coin. Coin becomes spectacle. The room works like an office. Scribes sit with tablets waxed and ready. A client enters, gives his name, and pays. A stylus scratches. An usher parts the curtain. The emperor stands sometimes in the rear alcove, watching the machine. When the chest grows light, he nods, and the crier goes out again. Bread, wine, and seizure became a policy. Now policy sells flesh. The detail sticks. Purple. In temples it belongs to gods. In triumphs it belongs to victory. On the Palatine it means a curtain you cannot refuse. Linen rustles. Bracelets clink. Someone laughs too brightly. The smell is oil, citrus, and the iron hint of shame. The lexicon is domestic. Comb, pin, sandal. But the logic is military conquest by tariff. Surrender by receipt. He justifies the outrage with precedent and mockery. Need funds for the gods, he says, and orders a portion laid on the altar of his divinity. Need funds for the fleet, and the sailors cheer when paid in coin that smells of civet. He smiles. Religion and logistics, both fed by one harvest. The harm is not only the act, it is the accounting. Honor in Rome is a household word. Wife, daughter, domus. He converts it to a unit of revenue. Once converted, it stays converted. Men who paid at the purple door carry their silence like debt. Women who were marched through it learn the new arithmetic of safety. Proximity to power or ruin. Rigor will ask, was the brothel continuous or a burst of policy? The sources disagree on measure, not on intent. The intent is clear enough to the city that heard the crier. When purple is priced, everything below it follows. The chests fill, the lamps burn low. Outside, the hill sleeps. Inside, Rome learns a fact older than law. When a ruler runs out of money, he spends the people, and some debts are collected in bodies before they are written in books. Year 40. Wind off the northern sea, tastes of iron and salt. The camp at Gesoriacum, Boulogne, thrums with stakes, rope, and shouted orders. Standard snap auxiliaries clean javelins with fistfuls of sand. The rumor is Britain, a fogged island, half legend, where Caesar once touched the shore and then let it go. Caligula wants what the dead have, a conquest to hang on his name. Wide shot, dunes, breakers, lines of shields like scales. Close up, the Emperor on a timber platform, cloak pinned with a brooch shaped like a trident. He speaks little. Trumpets answer for him. Columns form, unfurl, halt. The sea heaves, the legions steady. At a signal, the line advances, not to the boats, but to the waves. Suetonius will set it down like a curse. He declared war on Neptune, ordered his men to charge the water, slash at the surf, fill their helmets with shells, the spoils of the ocean. Dio repeats the scene with a different mask. Perhaps drill, perhaps punishment for talk of mutiny. Historians quarrel, soldiers obey. Steel meets foam. Latin oaths fly into the wind and are swallowed whole. Men trained to break tribes now stab at water. Pila cast into waves spin like fish and sink. The front ranks curse and laugh tight, then grow sober. It is not battle. It is theater with spears. Yet the theater has a point. Discipline over purpose. Geometry over longing. The sea will not yield numbers for a dispatch. The men will yield their pride, which matters more to a ruler who governs by spectacle. Hours pass. The order changes. Helmets off. Bend at the waist. Gather conche, shells, until the metal brims. They do it. Teeth set. Veterans with scars from the Rhine and the Danube crouch like boys at tide pools. When the helmets are full, the prefects bark and the line straightens. Banners dip. The day is logged as victory. Spoils stacked. Neptune defeated. Leaves a ransom of chalk and mother of pearl. Not all is farce. Work crews raise a lighthouse on the coast. Signals leap across water like fire. A harbor is cut and cribbed with timber. When he decrees a bridge of ships elsewhere, at Baiae, it is the same grammar. Mastery over elements, path where none exists. applause as argument. He writes policy in structures and in stunts. The mortar is humiliation. Interpretation is a second battlefield. Was this madness made public, or a cold message to ranks that whispered of Britannia and of limits? A beheaded campaign becomes a lesson. I can spend your courage for nothing, and you will still call it glory. The shells will parade in Rome as booty, proof that the ocean paid tribute. The joke is clean and cutting. It lands on the Senate first, then on the people. The detail that stays is sound, not the trumpets. The hiss of retreating foam around greaves. Men who could read the curve of a phalanx learn the curve of a wave. They return to camp soaked, heavier by a helmet full of nonsense and a pound of understanding. Power does not need victories when it can script defeats and name them otherwise. Rome will conquer Britain under another prince. The Channel will cross someday. But on this shore, in this year, the legions learned a harder theorem. Number breaks on discipline, and men break on will. The sea kept its secrets. The Emperor kept the shells. Year 40. The stables breathe warm and sour. Hoof on marble, iron on stone. A lamp smokes. The Emperor visits by night. Not the Senate, not the temples, a stall. Inside a bay horse with a white blaze and a name that moves like a spear. Incitatus. The sources make the inventory. Suetonius lists it with a clerk's chill. A stable of marble, a manger of ivory, purple blankets, a collar glittering with stones. Servants assigned like a household. Guards to hush the streets before race day. Dioats the climb from mascot to office. Priesthood granted. A consulship promised or threatened, depending on who listens. The details smell of satire. The pattern smells of policy. Wide shot. The Palatine at dawn. The city still. Close up. Grooms brushing the animal until the hair shines like wet bronze. Oats mixed with gold leaf clink in the bucket. The horse eats, indifferent to value. The men watch, instructed by it. Purple once signified triumphs and gods. Here it wraps a beast. The message is geometry. If the color marks rank, then rank is cloth, and cloth can be moved. He stages dinners with a horse reclining like a guest. Cups lifted to incitatus by men whose ancestors dragged kings from thrones. Laughter dies in throats. A bridle rests on a pillow better than a veteran's bed. The cruelty is elegant. He demotes the Senate without a speech. He measures their obedience by the absurdity they will applaud. Rigor asks for motive. There is economy at work. Race factions calm when the Emperor sponsors a champion. There is theater. The people cheer a joke that bleeds upward. There is law. By naming a horse to Sacred College, he makes office a favor, not a station. If a beast can be priest, what is a priest? If a horse can almost be consul, what is a consul? A chair, movable. Dio's line about the consulship is the knife. Did he truly intend it? Perhaps not. Perhaps he only said it, smiling to weigh how much humiliation a class can carry before it snaps. Rome had once killed kings to preserve names on doors. Now names were props. The door opened for a hoof. The practical machinery grinds beneath the gag. The guard enforces silence for the animal's sleep. Bakers change routes. Litters turn back. A city of 1,000,000 bends around one stall. This is the same grammar as bridges of boats and wars on surf. Systems reordered so one will can be seen. There is one honest creature in the scene. The horse does not pretend. He eats, he runs, he shies at thunder. The rest of Rome acts. Senators rehearse toasts to a muzzle. Priests share incense with a mane. Scribes record gifts as if they were treaties. The animal stands at the center like a mirror. The more he is honored, the smaller men look. When he announces, clear or half in jest, that Incitatus will wear the consul's brooch, the room freezes. The old republic flickers in memory. Axes in lictor's hands, Lex in stone. Then the image dies. No one walks out. That is the verdict. The joke lands, and with it a sentence. If a horse can be made noble by decree, any man can be made nothing the same way. A hoof scrapes marble. Gold dust floats in the oats. Rome swallows hard and calls it policy. Power feeds a beast and starves the word merit in the same motion. Year 40 turns hard. The treasury coughs dust. Games, donatives, bridges, temples. Silver drains like a wound that won't close. The cure is arithmetic with a sword. He calls it policy. Rome learns the price. Wide shot. The Palatine records room. Wax tablets stacked. Seals split. A clerk's stylus ticking like a metronome. Close up. The Emperor at table. Cup in hand. Eyes on columns of figures. Suetonius will write it flat. Auctions of state assets. New taxes on lawsuits and marriages. Fines squeezed from every hinge in the law. Dio adds the bite. Confiscations on charges that arrive before the evidence. Philo, who stood in his presence, speaks of greed set up as ritual. The ritual is tonight. Banquet. Lamp's breath low. A chest is dragged in, iron-rimmed. Read, he says. A scribe recites arrears, inheritances, names pinned to numbers. He drinks. Nods. A prefect vanishes behind the curtain. Steele follows. The liars do not stop. Minutes later, the accounts look neater. Bread, wine, and seizure. Again. Only cleaner, colder. The guests study their cups as if the glaze were an oracle. He taxes breath. Ports are measured and measured again. Customs agents bloom like weeds along the Tiber. A lawsuit is a toll road now. Marriages pay tribute for their vows. Prostitutes pay for their beds. Then the palace sells a nobler sort of bed and calls it revenue. Coins flow upward. Estates flow upward faster. The law becomes a sluice. Confiscation is the fat line in the ledger. Treason trials sprout from rumor. An unwise toast. A statue left too tall. A horoscope whispered in a garden. Each can be a debit. Property jumps hands at speed. A villa by Tusculum is entered as collected. A library becomes kindling for the debt of a name. Children inherit nothing but silence. He dresses the hunger as justice. Balance the books, he says, and a cohort understands. In one account, Gauls summoned to Rome. He wipes a row clean with a gesture no louder than a sigh. Dio will argue the case was discipline, not money. The dead do not argue. Their ledgers close with them inside. Coins lie about their birth. New issues shine with ships and temples. Piety stamped on both sides. Yet the mint smells of fear. A denarius minted from a senator's rings buys a soldier's loyalty for a month. Next month asks again. The machine needs speed. Speed needs terror. So the register travels to dinner. Rigor wants motives. There are two. Crisis. A court that spends like a god must eat like a god. And theater. The class that once owned the state must learn it is owned. The first empties chests. The second fills graves. Together, they govern without laws. Because the lesson is the law. A detail sticks. The sound of wax scratched thin. Another, the way a steward hesitates before breaking a seal, as if paper could bleed. The smell is resin and penny metal. The taste is ash under Falernian. He raises his cup. To solvency, he says, and smiles. The room answers on cue, each man counting backward from his own name. Ledgers and axes agree. In a city that reduces virtue to revenue, lives become entries, and entries are easy to erase. Year 39. Stone dust rides the air like ash. Hammers click, chisels bite. In the courtyards of Rome, gods lose their faces. Caligula has given the order, bring the masterpieces from Greece, Delos, Rhodes, Olympia, works older than the city's own memory. Set them in lines, strip the laurels, remove the heads. Wide shot, carts creaking through the forum, statues veiled in linen. Close up, a sculptor's hand steadying a jaw of Parian marble, while the wedge slides under the chin, a crack like a knuckle. The head comes free. The body remains, perfect torso, drapery cut like wet cloth, veins in stone. The pedestal names a god, the neck is raw. A servant carries in a portrait of Gaius, curled hair, heavy lids, the smirk that made senators practice their smiles. The new head is lifted, fitted, dowled. Jupiter now wears a mortal's face. Suetonius will set it down without embroidery. He replaced the heads of famous statues with his own, and demanded worship in the manner of kings of the East. Dio will add the frame, cost, convoys, and the sneer of an emperor who wanted heaven's gallery to mirror his palace. The act is not vandalism. It is catechism. The city learns a new creed by looking. He walks the porticos like a curator of blasphemy. One day he appears in the lion skin of Hercules, club in hand, veins oiled to shine, asking for applause rather than assent. Another day, he takes the lyre of Apollo and calls for silence to match his pitch. Once, silk at his shoulders, he stands as Venus, demanding eyes and incense. The point is grammar. Mask changes, authority doesn't. Behind each costume is the same constant, his profile, multiplied. There is doctrine to match the theater. The imperial cult already smolders in the provinces, altars to Augustus's genius, priests in Asia flattering power with smoke. The old line held at Rome, honor the office, not the man, and never as a god within the pomerium. Caligula erases the line like chalk. He brings the altar inside, staffs a priesthood for his own Numen, and appoints a flamen to him as if to Mars. Sacrifice to the living. Register the prayer with a clerk. He plays with Jupiter on the Capitoline as if with a neighbor. A storm cracks over the roofs. He calls it a conversation. Fellow will remember the tone. Mockery wrapped in command. Brother, the emperor says to the clouds, and men learn to laugh on the third beat, not the second. Timing becomes survival. Piety becomes choreography. The cost is counted in more than coin. Craftsmen who once guarded old hands and old mouths now carve channels for new pegs. A boy sent to light lamps in a temple now tends a likeness of his ruler dressed as a god, and his mother warns him not to stare. Pilgrims lift their eyes for Zeus and meet Gaius. The distance between earth and sky collapses to a face you can fear at dinner. Rigor will ask, was every statue taken, every head replaced? The books disagree on measure. They agree on meaning. He turned the city into a hall of mirrors and made worship a study in obedience. Marble remembers every blow. Rome learned by looking. When the gods wear the ruler's face, the law soon does too. And a people that cannot tell a mask from a deity will not notice when the knife replaces the chisel. Year 41 draws near. Leather sweats. Iron smells like rain. In the Castra Praetoria, the night watch forms, silent as a file of knives. Standards glint. The tribunes pass, giving the tessera the password. Hand to hand like a coal. Rome's safety rides on a single word. Caligula turns the word into a lash. Wide shot, barracks courtyards, torch smoke pinned under low cloud. Close up, Cassius Chaerea, tribune, scarred, efficient, a soldier who has swallowed the Empire's drill. His voice is higher than the mask his face wears. Suetonius and Dio remember what the Emperor did with that crack in the armor. He toys with the watchword, not Jupiter, not Mars. Tonight, Priapus. Tomorrow, Venus. The next night, something fouler. A bedroom joke stuffed into a military rite. Chaerea must speak it aloud to hardened men and keep a straight jaw. The cohort grins through their teeth. The standard does not move. This is not prank. It is instrumentation. The password, normally a hinge between order and chaos, becomes a gauge of humiliation. The guard's bones are discipline and pride. He attacks the pride to locate the fracture. A system that taught men to hold the line by geometry now makes them walk that line with slurs sewn to their tongues. He spreads the sport. At review, he calls Chaerea Priapus to his face, as if naming were a demotion. He hands out countersigns with a laugh and watches the ripple. Some men smirk, some look away. All learn the new theorem. Dignity is a permission, not a right. And the grantor is a boy, God with a crown. The ritual corrodes outwards. In the mess, jokes arrive late and leave stains. In the yard, drills bite a little too hard. Centurions feel the looseness that follows insult like fever after a wound. The guard exists to be the Emperor's wall. He tilts the wall, then leans on it for amusement. Policy by mockery, security by dare. Rigor notes the Roman practice. The tessera carry the countersign line by line, night by night, a watchword to separate friend from enemy in darkness. Caligula understands the lever. He passes through ranks in silk and asks for the word. A veteran says it soft and low. The Emperor makes him repeat it louder. Laughter, a lesson. The laughter is the point. There is a politics of small cuts. He's already made senators crawl and matrons barter honor. Now he salts the only cohort that could reach him before the first chamber door closes. A soldier's hatred is slow, practical, and heavy. It does not talk like the Senate. It counts like a quartermaster. Chaerea counts. Each obscene countersign is another tally on a board only he can see. Dio will say the tribune's resentment grew from these jeers. Suetonius will add the passwords like nails in a plank. Historians split hairs. The knife does not. What matters is conversion, jest into motive, motive into plan. The barracks teaches arithmetic the forum never learned. Honor minus command equals risk. Risk multiplied by proximity equals decision. The night air thins. Another watch turns. Chaerea holds the tessera between thumb and forefinger. The word is filth. He says it anyway because soldiers obey. Then he breathes and files the syllable with the others. Power believes insult dissolves at dawn. It does not. It hardens. Some passwords open gates. Some open veins. Year 41, midwinter sun bites like brass. The Palatine Games burn hot anyway. Scarlet awnings dust sweet with perfume. Throats raw from cheering drums. Flutes, the stink of animals, of men. The Emperor drinks the noise like Falernian. He waves. He jokes. He yawns. Heat loosens guard and tongue. Wide shot, the temporary theater along the Palatine slope, canvas taut, benches creaking. Close up, Gaius on his curule chair, wreath tilted, a ring flashing when he claps priests near. Senators nearer, praetorians at the aisles, crested and still. The German bodyguard lurks behind screens, pale eyes, long spears. The program runs on cue. Pantomime, recitation, a mime too coarse for the old men and exactly right for the crowd. He laughs loud. They copy his rhythm. Suetonius will time it. About the 7th hour, Dio will agree on the heat, the boredom, the mood that invites a stumble. The plan to strike in the seats fails. He will not rise on schedule. The conspirators feel the trap closing. Then chance opens a door. He signals for a bath and a bite. A narrow passage lies ready. The covert corridor that threads from theater to palace like a vein under skin. He rises with a handful of attendants. Favorites, a few freedmen, a scattering of pages from Asia he meant to examine. If the sources are to be believed, he dismisses part of the guard with a flick, a mistake, or confidence hardened into habit. The noise behind him swallows the sound of his sandals. Lamps gutter. The air cools. Stone sweats. The passages roam in miniature. Paint flaking from gods on plaster. Pipes knocking behind walls. Sand on flagstones to eat the echo. The geometry tightens. Space means control. He owns the turn, the step, the breath, or thinks he does. In the tunnel waits a tribune with an insult on his tongue and a tally in his head. Cassius Chaerea, older than the Silk Boys, a soldier with wrists like hinges. The passwords he was forced to give, Priapus, Venus, have been filed away and sharpened. With him, Cornelius Sabinus, and a knot of men who have learned the price of delay. Cloaks closed, hands steady. Protocol plays its part. The tribune approaches as if to ask the countersign. The word, Caesar. Tradition bends the neck by reflex. He leans to whisper something obscene, as he always does when the joke is safe. This time the joke has an edge. Steel answers. The first blow lands at the neck or the jaw. Suetonius says neck. Dio says face. Blood spatters plaster, then sand. He staggers, not finished. Rage flares. A shout for the Germans dies on the stones. The second blade arrives, then a third, then many. 30 wounds. The rumor will count. Enough that the corpse is a ledger closed with nails. Up above, the crowd keeps clapping. The heat holds. The games run. Below, the tunnel drinks and darkens. The body falls where the step narrows, where a man cannot swing wide. The place was chosen for that. History will argue whether this was justice or arithmetic. The record leaves a colder lesson. Spectacle is a shield until it isn't. A throne raised by applause can be emptied in silence. And the shortest road from power to void is often a corridor, no wider than a spear. Year 41. Stone sweats. Torches spit. The corridor from the Palatine Theater to the baths narrows to a throat. He enters with a few attendants, light-footed, sure Gaius Caesar, Caligula, the god who made men kneel. Behind him, noise like surf. The games still roaring. Ahead, cool shade. Between, a handful of soldiers who have learned the new math. Cassius Chaerea steps from the flank as protocol demands. Tribunes salute. Request for the countersign. Habit tilts the emperor's head. The joke rises to his lips. Another obscene password to sour the guard's pride. Steele answers the joke. First stroke. Sources part their hairs. Suetonius says the neck, Dio the face. Either cut means the same thing. The mask splits. He reels, but does not fall. The German bodyguards are distant. The Praetorians nearby are in on the count. Cornelius Sabinus surges. A freedman cries out. The air goes thin. Blades find ribs through silk and linen. 30 strikes by one telling. 30 is not law. It is emphasis, enough wounds to declare a verdict. Not accident, not duel, but collective decision. Close up, the gladius hilt greasy with sweat, a knee in the Emperor's thigh to pin him, sand thrown to drink the blood and silence the step. A page from Asia tries to run. A spear blocks the way. The corridor learns new echoes. Each impact writes a line in a ledger no scribe will keep. Rigor shows its face. Josephus will say the blow came during inspection of boys. Suetonius places it about the 7th hour after the games. Dio counts the wounds and names the men. Details shift with angle. The fixed points are harder. Cherea led, Sabinus followed. The Germans arrived too late. The body lay hacked where light failed to reach. Up above, the theater keeps breathing. Flutes trill, a mime bows. The crowd laughs on cue. That is Caligula's true monument. Spectacle continuing as the author bleeds out below it. Power's noise proves nothing. The geometry of murder belongs to stone and distance. The tunnel was chosen because a man cannot swing wide there, and because help cannot come fast. They kill the prayer with the man. No appeal to Jupiter. He had made Jupiter a brother. No appeal to law. He had made law a mirror. Only the physics of a narrow way and the patience of insult ripened to steel. When he falls at last, the body is no longer a god's. Just weight, breath gone, eyes open to plaster, mouth full of iron. The coda is quick and brutal. Melonia Caesonia, the wife, found and cut down. Julia Drusilla the younger, the child, dashed against stone. Cruelty answering cruelty, the Roman method of erasing a line. Then the rush of rumor. Senators whisper, Republic. The guard calculates, pay. In a curtain's shadow they find Claudius, scholar's belly, scared eyes. He is raised, not asked. 30 blades in a passage and a rain, not a system. The corridor closes like a wound. Footsteps retreat. The games end late. Rome wakes to a new face on the same coin, and the stone keeps its stain as the only honest historian. Year 41. The theater roars above. The corridor cools below. And in a side room of the Palatine, a curtain trembles. Behind it, a man with ink on his fingers and fear in his breath. Tiberius Claudius, scholar of letters, stumbler in speech, the uncle no one invited to the hunt. A praetorian lifts the fabric, spears lower, then rise in salute. The crowd does not choose emperors. The guard does. Wide shot, Castra Praetoria at dusk, ramparts purpled, shields stacked like tiled roofs. Close up, Claudius on a tribunal chair, not yet warm, guards hemming him like a cuirass of flesh. He offers the word Rome understands best. Pay. Suetonius will call it a donative. Dio will weigh the sum. Josephus will sketch the bargain. The Republic's talk in the Senate drifts like incense and thins in the wind. Steel makes the decision. The fathers vote after the fact. In the forum, statues of Gaius tilt, faces battered to chalk. Damnatio Memoriae muttered and half-acted. In the camp, warrants are drawn with cleaner lines. Cherea dies by the law he defended with a blade. Sabinus follows. The knot that cut the knot is cut in turn. Ritual resumes. Oaths to a new princeps. Names entered in new lists. The same offices wearing different handwriting. Claudius is not Caligula. He prefers scrolls to circuses, arguments to games. He repairs the machine because he understands machines. Edicts flow in steady Latin. Cases heard, courts paced, freedmen raised to offices that offend old blood, but oil the gears. He shores the grain supply, curbs the juries, settles veterans, mends aqueducts. The empire exhales. The god watches. paid on time. The Senate debates, important until the moment it isn't. Rigor lines the margins. Josephus tells of the soldiers carrying Claudius to the camp, and the Senate yielding rather than bleed. Suetonius catalogues reforms beside petty cruelties and domestic storms. Dio plots the curve forward. Within 2 years, he is steady enough to add territories by law and steel. A future expedition across the same sea that laughed at Gaius will sail under him. Not as theater, but as logistics. The message is mundane and absolute. Continuity is Rome's true god. The smell returns to normal: lamp smoke, wet wool, leather. The augurs read birds again instead of glances. The passwords lose their obscene edge, yet the geometry is unchanged. The man behind the curtain becomes emperor because swords said so. The Senate lives in the space swords permit. The people cheer whatever crosses the avenue. The gods keep their heads until another ruler needs their faces. A child learns to spell his new emperor's name on a wax tablet. A sculptor carves Claudius with a calm mouth and a heavy neck. A clerk copies a rescript that settles a border dispute in Mauritania. The state reknits itself with little stitches. The wound that killed Gaius becomes a faint line you can feel but cannot see from the street. Rome calls this stability. It is also habit. Thrones crack. The scaffolding remains. Guardsmen still wake to passwords. Senators still practice smiles. Scribes still sharpen styluses as if they were spears. The curtain falls back into place. The moral is not thunder, but weight. Systems outlive tempests. Caligula died in a tunnel. Rome kept walking. And when a city learns to kneel to the machinery, the face on the coin is only a change of weather.